One of the best parts about developing applications is seeing how your app is doing. And if we head over to the screen, that is exactly what we will be building in this video. We're going to build a front-end dashboard so that in the future, if you want to connect to database, you can easily see how your application is doing. And so what we will be displaying in terms of numbers is anything we really want. So I'm just did revenue, customers, profit, and sales. But where it gets really cool is the graphs. And what we will display here is both a bar graph and a line graph, one displaying sales data and the other displaying users data. And don't worry, this is actually quite easy to do. This won't take too long. So let's get into it. And by the way, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. These videos cost you nothing to watch. They're very valuable in my opinion. You're already watching. So why not hit the like and subscribe? It would really, honestly, would really go a long way. So hit the like button. And so the first thing we need to do to display or make a dashboard is obviously have a page, right? And this is already a app I'm working on, so I'm just building on top of it. But don't worry, just if you have a NextJS application, a React application, or really anything, then just get started with that. All I'm gonna do is go into my app, have a root page like this. And you don't have to do this, but I personally like having everything organized like this. We're gonna have a routes bracket like this. And within this folder, we're gonna have a dashboard page. And finally, in the dashboard, we obviously need a page.tsx file. So within root routes dashboard, and in addition, in dashboard, we're going to create a new folder within dashboards and call underscore components. And this is just entirely my way of doing things. If you want to just have a dashboard page without the root routes, that's totally fine. But because I'm building out a huge application outside of this, I want to get everything organized and neat. And the components page here will just have all aspects of our dashboard. So it'll be like nice and organized. I just like doing this, okay? And so we can just close this up like this, and we can just do like something like this. And to get started, let's obviously do an export default function dashboard page, brackets like this, and then open the brackets just like this. And within here, obviously we need to return something like this. Div. And now if we go to our dashboard page, we will obviously have a plain page. And within here, let's just do a class name just like this. And then a flex col, gap 5, and then a width of full. Now the design is entirely up to you. You can do whatever you want, but let's have this organized. We want it to be beautiful. So let's stick to that. So let's do something like this. So it's a little bit more readable. And here we can just write an H1 and just write dashboard. Just like this. I just wrote dashboard, and then a class name of font bold, text 4XL, MX of 6, text center. And then in here, let's open up another div just like this with another div within it. And in the first div, okay, we're going to write a class name of MX auto and PY of 8. And then in the second div, let's open that baby up again, and let's write flex col, gap 5, width of full. So we're obviously doing similar things. And I promise not much to this page anymore. We're basically just gonna have two sections. So section 1 will display the top part of our page, and the second section will display the graphs. And in each, let's write a class name of grid, width full, grid cols 1, gap of 4, gap of x8, transition all, small grid, cols 2, and the XL, grid cols of 4, and that's it. So let's see if we missed anything here. So grid with full, grid cols 1, gap 4, gap x8, transition all, small grid cols, perfect. And finally for this page, let's do a class name again. And within this, let's do grid cols 1, gap of 4, transition all, large, grid cols 2. And so as of now, we're not really doing anything, right? We just have everything ready, but we want to display things in here. And so the first thing we can do is create a dashboard card. So let's just create that. So within our components folder, let's create a dashboard card.tsx. And essentially here we will be displaying the 4 cards over here. We're just doing this so that we don't repeat ourselves and have to repeat the design over and over again. That way everything's just nice and neat. And so to get started, let's create the interface for our dashboard card first. So let's do interface like this, and then dashboard card props, and then open it like this. And basically the dashboard card props will be items that we will have within our card that will be repeating on all the cards. So I'll explain in a bit, okay? So within each card, right, we're gonna have a label displaying what it is, and it's gonna be a string, right? We're also gonna have an amount, right, which was gonna be string. This is gonna be like the number of customers, cash, etc. We're also gonna have a description, so talking about what's in that data. And finally, we're gonna have an icon. And now this may get a little bit confusing, but in here, we're gonna need a Lucid icon. And essentially, this is the icon that we will have in each card. And to install Lucid icon, we're gonna go to install Lucid React, go to installation, and in here, do whatever you want, npm install. I'm just gonna write npm install Lucid. So let's open up a new one and run npm install Lucid. And then in here, you should be able to import it just like this. And so to finish up this page, let's do export const dashboard card is equal to open brackets like this. And here we just need to dismember this. So let's do label, comma, amount, comma, description. And finally, we need the icon. And we're still getting red because we need to call the dashboard card props like this. Open it up just like this, okay? And within here, we need to return it, obviously, just like this, and then a div. And so again, I'm sorry if I'm going into too much detail of the interface and stuff like that, but this will make our lives so much easier. Let's actually go full page here, and let's run a class name of BG, and then whatever we want, right? So in my example, I might do something like BG secondary because I have a light theme and a dark theme. But for the sake of the video, I'm just gonna go with one type of color. So for us, let's just go with gray, maybe, I don't know, 300 as the background. Or you know what, let's do 500 for good luck. And then we can have like a shadow, flex, width of full, flex col, gap of 3, rounded, 5 pixels, and a P of 5, P5. And then in here, we're gonna have every piece of data that we need. So firstly, we need to make a section with a class name of flex justify center, or actually between gap of 2. Close that up. And in here, we're gonna have a P tag with a class name of text small. And here's where we're going to display our first piece of data. And in here, we're going to display the label. And then secondly, we want to display the icon, right? And so we're going to grab the icon like this. And the class name will have a height of 4 and a width of 4. And then outside of this section, we're going to do another section. And here we're going to display both the amount and the description. And to do that, we're going to have an h2. And actually, we need to describe the section first. So let's do class name. And here we're going to do flex col, gap of 1. And then in the h2, let's do a class name of text 2xl. And actually, why not? Let's do font semi-bold. And here we're going to have the amount, just like this. And finally, we're going to have the p tag with a class name and a text of extra small. And finally, we're going to display the description just like this. And okay, so right now there's still nothing going on. And all we need to do really is just import the dashboard card. So let's do import dashboard card. And all we really need to do is just use it in here. So dashboard card just like this. And you can see, right, we are getting a small little error. And why we're getting that is because we need to display the data that we need. So remember, right, we need the label, amount, description, and icon. And to display those, we just need to call each one. So label, let's call this one revenue, just like this. We also need the icon, obviously. So let's do something like this. And the icon we're using would be maybe something like a $sign. $sign. And we're importing that from Lucid React. We're also getting the amount. So let's just write whatever, $1,000, why not? And finally, description, total generated revenue this month. And as you can see on the screen, we have our first piece of data. And frankly, I'm not really a fan of this gray. So let's maybe do something like BG Slate 100 divided by 50 maybe. That looks a lot better, I think. And you can see we have our first piece of data. But what's cool now is that we can just call this multiple times with different pieces of data. And why I'm such a fan of this is that when you want to create your database and you're calling that data maybe to display the actual revenue rather than just a front end, you can just, instead of amount, you can do something like this and maybe do like calling the database dot revenue for the year. And then, or for the month, whatever it may be. And you can just easily call it like this. So it's going to make your life a lot easier. So let's go back. Nice little sip of coffee though. And we can just repeat this maybe a couple more times. So 1, 2, and 3. I think that will display it wide like this. If we actually make it bigger, there we go. So here we'll do that just so you can see all 4 in a cool way. And we can just go through all of them. We could probably make something like a customers one. So customers. We could do like person standing maybe, for example. And then total customers, we could maybe do like plus 300. Maybe we're getting a lot of customers. And then in description, we can do maybe plus 22 this month. Here we can also do something like profit. And then we can do maybe a credit card. You know, we're not making just at that. We're making 8,000. And actually in revenue, let's make this more realistic. Let's go something like 40K. And finally, for the last one, let's just do, I don't know, sales. Check for check. And maybe let's say we had 90 sales. And in description, you can write plus 10 this month. And actually, I just realized we need to delete this. Do total, whatever. Anyways, you can see these are totally customizable up to whatever you want to do. So that's really the beauty of it. But yeah, we're done with this section. And all we need to do now for the dashboard is just grab the bar chart and the line graph. So those are a lot easier than you'll expect. It's going to be a lot of fun. And so let's get started with it. And so to get started, within our components folder, we need 2 files. Obviously, the first one will be a bar chart as per the example. And the second one will be a line graph.tsx. And within each, let's do something like export const bar chart. So bar chart is equal to, something like this with a return and a div, something like that. And same thing for the line graph. So let's just copy this, why not? And then in the line graph, let's do line graph. And then within our page, so go to your page, and within here, let's just call both so that we can just display them. So let's do line graph and bar chart. Don't import bar chart. Be careful. It's bar chart from /components/bar charts. I think I imported some weird one. And obviously there's nothing showed because we did not write anything, but we can just get started with this and we can just start displaying stuff. And so the library that we will be using to display data and have a line chart and a line graph and a bar chart is Recharts. It's a really good library for displaying data. And plus their documentation is actually really good. So I highly recommend you check them out. But anyways, you can see, they have a lot of examples and stuff like that. So, if you want to use like a pie chart, for example, you can do that, radar chart, whatever it may be. But we're just going to be using the bar chart and the line chart. And so to install it, we just need to run npm install recharts. So let's just install that. And as per usual, within our terminal, let's clear things up to make things clearer. And then run npm install recharts. And then once that's done, we can just close this up, open our page like this. Let's do something like that and this. And within our line graph, let's just start with the line graph. Why not? We're going to run use client, and we need to import a couple of things. The first thing we need is everything from Recharts really. So let's do from Recharts. And what we will need is the line chart a line, x-axis, obviously the y-axis, a Cartesian, I think it's called, axis. There we go. And a responsive container. So every graph we use is going to include a responsive container, an x-axis, a y-axis, and then a specific type of chart. So for this one, we're just using these ones. So this is for the specific example. And we can just keep it like this. In addition, we're going to have some data to display. So for us, because this is just the front end, we're just going to have something like number of users data is equal to something like this. And we're going to display the monthly users. So let's just keep this empty for now. But anyways, in this, we are going to do a class name of bgslate100 divided by, what did we do in the dashboard card? 50. So let's do 50. You know what? Screw it. Let's do something darker. Maybe like 20. There we go. Oh, much better. Much better. So 20. There we go. But staying within the first div, let's do a shadow as well. A flex, a width full, flex col, gap of 3, rounded 5 pixels. You can do whatever roundedness, but most of my applications has that 5 pixel look, which I love. And then within this, we can just have a section with a p tag of user's data and a user icon. So let's just get this one from Lucid React, a class height width of 4. And within the section, let's do a flex, justify center, or actually between, gap of 2, text slate of 100, and then a padding bottom of 2, just like that. You can see, looks pretty good to me. And here's where we're going to get started with the actual graph. To do that, we're going to have the responsive container first. And this is not a self-closing tag. We have to actually open it. And we need a width and a height. So let's do those. So a height, and then the height is 350 we're going to do for the sake of the video. And then in the width, let's just do something like 100%. And because we're still getting an error, it's because we have to actually put data within it. So let's just get started with that. So we need the line chart first, right? We have a line chart. So we're just getting this from the line chart from Recharts. And the line chart data is just going to be data equals to number of users data. That's why we created this first. It's empty, I understand. So let's put some stuff in. So let's do month of January like this. And then users, we're just going to randomize it. So math.floor, math.random times. And for users, we said it was going to be a lot, right? So let's just see. I don't know. Let's just do 2,000. Something like that. And I wonder why it's failed to complete. And it's because we did not close this. So let's do that. And we can see that, 8,000 users, customers 300. Oh, okay, so let's just do something like 500 or 300, whatever. Oh, you know what? 100 customers. That's fine. And we're going to put in more data just for the sake of the video. But let's continue with the line chart. Let's just do margin is equal to 2 of these brackets. And I know this is annoying because you're using basic CSS, but that's fine. Let's do top of 0. This is the only way it's going to work. That's why I'm saying left of -15. And I found this just looks the best, comma, right of 0. And finally, a bottom of 0 as well. And once we get that done, we need to display the line. So let's do the line. And we're going to have a line, which is a self-closing tag. And it's going to be a type of monotone. So this is going to be the dashed lines. Monotone. Data key is going to be the users. So we're grabbing the data from this one. And then the stroke will be a color that we want. So I don't know. Let's just do 0, 0, 0, 0. Or actually, we don't even need these. I'm stupid. We can just do something like this. There we go. I believe that will work. I think they'll be fine. So one more 0 for good luck. And then for everything, we need a width of 50 and a stroke width. So the width of the actual stroke will be 3. And I just realized line chart is not a self-closing tag. So line chart, make sure you're wrapping the whole thing like this. There we go. So line chart has to be wrapping everything as well. My bad. So let's just space this out so you're less confused. There we go. Hopefully that's a little bit better. So actually, let's make this text slate 100 up here as well. So everything is text slate. And let's just display data. So let's go through every month of the year. And there we go. So I'm going to leave the repository down below for you to copy if you want to display random data. But I'm just displaying every month's data. And as you can see right now, this is what it looks like. But I want it to be white. So let's do FFF maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Something like this maybe. There we go. So you can see it just looks a lot better with the white. And so what we need to do next is once we've displayed all the data, again, this will be down below. We need the x-axis. So x-axis. So this will display the horizontal data. And we need the y-axis, which will display obviously the vertical. And within each, we have to display a couple of pieces of data. So let's do something like this. And for each, we need a data key. So it's going to be month for us. You know, the x-axis is going to display the actual month, right? We want to display the month. And the y-axis, we'll just do this one real quick, will be data key of users. And then for each, we can have something like tick line. And I don't want one for the x-axis. An axis line, which we do want. It's going to be true. We're going to have a stroke. So same as the other one. So I'm not really going to worry about this too much. It's going to be, yeah. A font size. So font size, let's do something like 13 maybe. And then finally, we can add whatever sort of padding that we want. So we don't want any padding. So let's do something maybe like left of 0. I'm going for a specific look. That's why I'm doing something like this, and right of 0. And so we can basically just copy everything else. It's going to be the same thing. So axis line, stroke, and padding. But the padding will be different because we're on the y-axis. So let's do bottom and top. Just like this. And you can see already it looks much better. And actually, we forgot to do the tick line. So let's do that one. I'm actually going to do tick line like this. And if equals to... I hate how it's automatically does that, but I don't know. Anyways, you can see it looks much better. Let's actually go full screen so you can see what we're dealing with here. It just looks phenomenal. But there is one more thing that we can implement to make this more readable. And it is the... I don't even know what to call it. It's this one. Whatever you want to call this one. To display that little grid thing, we just need to call it. So Cartesian grid. Just like this. Close that up. And we need a couple of things. Firstly, the opacity, I want it to be a specific one. So let's do opacity of 50. And then let's go again here and do stroke dashed array of 2 for the X and 2 for the Y. So we can just go down here and you can see it looks phenomenal. I just love this so much. It just looks amazing. And so that's all we really did for the line graph. I mean, I think it looks good. And because the data is random, every time you refresh, it's going to be a different display. But again, whenever it's time to display the data for your app, you can just call the database or ORM, whatever you're using, and then display the data. It's really easy. It's doable. It's not impossible. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. I just realized I imported the wrong one. So it's actually Cartesian grid. It just keep everything the same, but we already called it the right way, but I just imported an extra one. But we're done with the line graph. The next thing we want to work on is the bar charts. Let's just save ourselves some time and headache, and let's just copy most of this. So let's go import this, and we're obviously going to have to change some things. in addition, we can just import basically everything over here. So copy that and then paste it just like this. Now, there is some issues here, so let's do something like this for a second. We may get an error here, but everything is empty. But I just wanted to get most of the design. So actually, we can just delete these two and these two like this. And I know it's a little bit here. I'm gonna go full screen so you don't get confused. Okay. So basically, we just copied everything, and then we removed everything but the x-axis, y-axis, and the responsive container. And let's just change this maybe to something like sales data, and then maybe like a candlestick chart from Lucid React, just like that. And again, let's just remove this. And what will be different here is the import. So instead of line chart, let's do something like bar chart. But because this is the same as this, I just realized let's do maybe something like as bar graph. That's it. We can just maybe, and then remove the ones we don't need. And I just remembered, let's do bar. Got to import bar. And like in the last step, let's make something like a sales data. So sales data to display sales. And for each month of the year, we're going to have to display something. So for the month of January, let's have a randomness of maybe like 1,000. I mean, what makes sense, right? We don't want to have like so total revenue and then profit. So let's do 1,000, maybe something in the 1,000 range. So close this one up. Yeah, in the 1,000 range. And then so for each month of the year, again, this will be down below. We're going to display a different piece of data. There we go. So all the way to December. Cool. And this is called sales data. And to get started with this, within our responsive container, we're going to have our bar graph. And the data is going to be the sales data. So sales data just like this. And this is going to not be self-closing. Again, we're going to grab this and we're going to wrap it around both of these. And like the last one, we're going to have a margin with the spacings of top of 0, bottom of 0, right of 0, and finally we're going to have a left of -15. So it moves to the left a lot more. And then the x-axis, I think this is fine. And then the y-axis though, because we're not using users anymore, it's going to be, let's just see. Oh shit, I just realized all of these have to be total. So I changed all of them to total. So make sure it's the right type of data, so month and total. So in here, we can just change this then to total, just like that. But again, not that big of a deal. And what we want actually is one more thing in the y-axis. We're going to have a tick formatter, which is on each level of displaying the data. We want to have a cache value to it so that we can see that this is how much cash we have. We just, if it's displaying like 1,000, we don't want it to just say 1,000. We want it to say $1,000. And to do that, we just need to do something like value and then equals to like that. And then $2, one for displaying the data and one to actually display the cash symbol. And I believe if we go into our app, we can see that it's not displaying yet. And I think it's because we obviously need to have a bar, right? We imported bar. So let's just do that finally. So below the y-axis, let's call bar and self-close that. And we obviously need the data key for displaying what we need. And this will be, so the bar will display the total, right? We want to display how much cash is in it. So total, which is this one over here. We would want a radius to that. So the roundedness of the bar. So for us, let's maybe do something like, 5500 maybe. So the top, so I think this is the left, right, bottom left, bottom right. So you can see it's like a nice roundedness. And then we need the stroke colors. So stroke of FFFFF. One more F. And then, oh, that's just the outside. Okay, I didn't know that. And I think to put it in, yeah, it's fill, right? I mean, I already did this before, so I should know. And with that done, I think if we open it, everything should be finished. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. We basically just displayed data. I'm going to be using this in my SaaS template starter kit, which is coming out very soon. This will be available to you who are interested in it. I've also used this in my other application. This one's not accessible to the public. Like, you can see the code for it, but it's only for like any specific data that you have. But you can see I used the bar chart over here, and I have like displaying other things like recent users, recent sales, etc., etc. But yeah, we basically just made a dashboard card to display all 4 of these data, and then we created individual charts to display whatever we really needed. Again, everything here will be left in the GitHub repository down below. It's all public, so if you want to copy and paste it into your app, you can. And yeah, if you like the video, please like and subscribe. If you have any issues, I will also leave the Discord down below. It's just an awesome place, especially if you're like a new developer. There's very nice people there. So, and if you want to talk to me, I'm always there. So it's just an awesome place to be. But yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe. Happy coding, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.